When my friend Carol Finlay invited me to join a monthly book club that she had started in a men's prison, everything about it screamed, "Bad idea." The prison book club's members included drug traffickers, bank robbers, and murderers. I admired the work she was doing, but I wasn't sure I could do it. 8 years earlier in England, I had survived a violent mugging. 2 men had chased me down a dark lane beside my London house near Hampstead Heath, strangled me in a chokehold until I lost consciousness, and fled with my cell phone. It had taken me months to overcome the trauma, and during my remaining 3 years in London, I was too frightened to walk alone at night, even with my new ear-splitting pocket security alarm and a weapons-grade 13-inch flashlight with an alarm that mimicked a barking Doberman. I wasn't sure that I could enter the prison without triggering my earlier traumatic response. But then I remembered that in the weeks after the attack in England, and before I was asked to look at a lineup of suspects, I had felt an unexpected maternal impulse as I imagined how distressed my assailants' mothers must have felt about their errant sons. Something my father once said to me also came to mind. "If you expect the best of people, they will rise to the occasion." He had been an Ontario court judge and had seen people at their worst. By the slimmest of margins, my curiosity began to outweigh my apprehension. I couldn't resist seeing for myself what the convicts would say about the books. It's a journey that began in a cemetery. Toronto's Mount Pleasant Cemetery is popular among walkers for its winding routes past 19th century obelisks and sorrowful statues, overhung by unusual species of trees. Carol was an avid walker, and I had invited her to join me there for a stroll. Before setting off, we stood at my father's gravesite, taking a moment for reflection. The grave lay beneath a catalpa tree on a grassy path between 2 rows of monuments. I had spent many happy hours in my childhood climbing a catalpa, so I found the spot easily among the larches and yews, copper beeches, and magnolias. The tree's heart-shaped leaves fanned us, and the long bean pods clacked in the wind as we contemplated the slightly sunken rectangle of grass, still waiting for its marker. My family had commissioned a sculptor to chisel a bas-relief of a bird rising up from tall grasses on a round disc of black granite. The shafts of the feathers and the midribs in the blades of grass would mirror each other, as would their capillaries, the feather barbs, and the leaf veins. All living things pattern themselves on each other and become one. Dad, a naturalist, would have liked that thought. Turning away, Carol and I adopted an exercise pace and made our way through the headstones to the paved road that snaked through the plots. She was a new friend, but was already unreserved and candid in the way old friends are. "Did you know that you walk with a forward tilt?" she asked. "No," I said, "I didn't." Why had no one told me that before? I consciously pressed my shoulders back and my abdomen forward in an attempt to be more vertical. I looked sideways at her and saw that she stood ramrod straight. Her father had been in the military. Her mother had been a headmistress in a private school. Plus, they were British, so they were frozen in aspic, I once heard her say. She was 10 years older than I was and still beautiful, with lively blue eyes and a wide smile of perfectly straight white teeth. She was dead smart, too, and sprinting to make her mark on the world because she had a keen sense of her own mortality. As we walked past the cemetery office, she asked me if I had any good book suggestions for the book club she had started at Collins Bay Institution. It was a medium-security federal penitentiary for men in Kingston, 2 hours east of Toronto. She'd been running it for a year and had exhausted her best picks. Now she was deputizing a book selection committee and wanted me to be on it. We had already talked several times about her project. It fascinated me that she was so brave and so entrepreneurial at the same time. I knew that she had the men reading good literary fiction and non-fiction, and that they met once a month to discuss a chosen book. It was, in some ways, just like the book club that Carol and I belonged to on the outside, except that we were women and not in jail. "Why me?" I asked. "I don't know. You're bookish." Maybe she sensed I was also in a bit of a rut. A year earlier, I had lost my job as the senior writer at an investment management organization. At the time, I'd been on a leave of absence to care for my 23-year-old daughter because her struggle with anorexia had taken a life-threatening turn.